And welcome to episode 41 of the Red Mountain Express. I'm your host, Blake Westbrook. Joining me, as always, is Matthew Joyner and, of course, Patrick Tucker. How we doing today, guys?
Great.
Sunburn.
Sunburn? What'd you do yesterday to get sunburn?
Well, so me and you spoke to the guys at Blue Yonder, and we sat there, and I underestimated the effects of the sun in the early morning hours. So that combined with going to a ball game to see my nephew play and then doing a bunch of yard work before the rain comes in today, I did not wear the appropriate amount of sunscreen, much to my wife's chagrin. So I'm suffering the consequences.
A little red.
Yeah.
I'm terrible about not wearing sunscreen. Like, I just won't wear it. So my wife gives me hell for it.
I don't want to brag about like I'm proud of not wearing sunscreen, but I am notoriously bad about it and have been for a long time. I have a number of freckles that weren't there when I was like 10 years old that suddenly were there when I was 12 that I'm sure I'll have to get screened.
That's called cancer.
No, I mean, they've been there long enough. I'm sure they're not, but they could be one day. So,
well, we got a good show for everybody today. As Matthew said, we interviewed the band Blue Yonder. We did that yesterday at Rotary Trail. That was quite interesting, trying to find a place to actually visit with them at. We originally were going to go to Railroad Park, and then there was, like every weekend, it seems like, a 5K going on downtown. I think there's too many of these. We need to start consolidating.
Just do them all as one big 5K.
Exactly.
Just everybody run.
I think that's called a marathon.
But no, you'll have that on the second half of the show. But we got a pretty good show, so let's dive right in. The 21st Street Bridge is getting replaced. It's the Richard Arrington Boulevard. Do y'all know about this? Have y'all heard about this yet?
No, I know the bridge in question, but I did not know it was getting replaced until you mentioned it to me.
It's 100 years old, and they don't allow trucks to go on it right now, which I think if you don't allow trucks to go on it, it just needs to be shut down. So they're going to work in conjunction with ALDOT, getting some federal funding, and the city's going to have to pay $160K, and it'll be completely replaced. So
yeah, I mean,
$160,000. That seems like a great price for a bridge.
Yeah, well, the entire bridge is going to cost $800,000, and the federal funding is going to kick in the big portion of that. And the city only has to pay $160K. So but like with everything, it's going to take forever. It's going to take 12 months of planning just to get
design.
To get a design. Yeah.
Do they know how long the construction's supposed to take?
It's going to be done after all the bridges of the interstate are done.
Okay.
The 2059 section, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I've been on a couple of survey crews that have done bridge reconstruction, and they can get these things done pretty quickly. But if we're looking at 12 months of design time, then after design, you're looking at bidding, survey crew and construction crew bidding, and then you'll have actual construction. So this thing could take, and if we're looking at a timeline for the 2059 completion, I mean, we're talking a couple of years easily. So
that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just tear it down and build it, man. I don't know. When I come home, we're going to work out in Inverness, and the bridge that you cross over before you turn onto 459, if you're sitting on that bridge at like the red light, you feel your car going up and down. Now, it's not an old bridge, but it just makes you think a little bit about, your life.
It's by design, Blake. You should be worried if it's not going up and down.
Exactly. You need some flexibility.
I guess so. So that's happening. We're getting a new bridge. It's they're going to try to keep it historically aesthetic, I guess. So, like I said, the design's going to take 12 months, and then we'll start seeing the teardown of a new bridge.
That's good. It's good that they're trying to keep the same look of the bridge that they have today, because there's several of those bridges that go over the railroad tracks there.
Right.
Changing the look of those, I think, would cause some people some consternation.
Yes, that's a good word. Like consternation. I like that.
See, this is why we brought him on.
Don't use that word very
big
often.
words. I'll probably use it like being weird. Like, man, I felt a lot of consternation yesterday. So, speaking of construction, it's kind of an update we did on a story last week. Premier Cinemas is now going to buy that theater. The city council has approved the new access road. So
this is the one on Lakeshore.
It's the one on Lakeshore. So the access road has been approved. They're going to start on that. So I think now the next step is they're actually going to buy it, which I imagine there's probably a contract in the works. But I think they're getting a good deal on it, and it's close to the house, and go see some good movies, like the new Solo movie. So I'm looking forward to it.
You couldn't make it one
Couldn't
episode.
do
could
it,
you?
man.
Oh, man. So speaking of theaters, the Sidewalk Film Festival for some time now has been running a fundraiser. Their goal was $4.9 million, and they have hit the $3 million mark of this fundraiser. What this means for Sidewalk Film Festival here in Birmingham is that they're going to construct a new theater. I don't know what's the word, like
Art house.
Art house
theater.
It's going to be next to or inside of the Pulitzer. Here's where maybe I have failed as a commentator on news, or where
I've looked at this and you don't know really where it's going to be.
So yeah, I originally found the story from Facebook.com at facebook.com/sidewalkfilm, which is their page, which redirects you to their official website, sidewalkfest.com/make-magic-happen, I believe. And they have some details, some drawings, designs of what they want to do, and details on what they're doing with fundraising levels and what you get as a sponsor at certain levels. I had a hard time finding details on where exactly this was going, and when exactly the timeline was.
So I saw an article from a couple years ago, or almost a couple years ago, that said that it was going to be on the ground floor of the Pulitzer building, but this was before the Pulitzer opened up to what it is now, so I can't imagine that it's going to be there. And then, was it Patrick, you said you read that it was going to be next to it?
Yeah, I read an article, I think it was also an older article that said, when they were talking about planning this, where they said it would be adjacent to the food hall. So, which I mean is great for concessions or whatever. You just can go out to get a drink or get some food.
Kaneka sausage waffle dog.
Yep.
I know on the Sidewalk Film Fest page, their official website, there was an image of the theater that they were looking to build, and then there was a little blurb under it that mentioned trying to bring the theater and Pulitzer together, so like you said, they can have concessions in the theater working together. But yeah, I want to see more details on this. I'm looking forward to maybe an article from AL.com or somebody else, Biz Journal, to give us more information. I could not find one as of this weekend.
Have you ever been to the Sidewalk Film Festival?
I have not.
Patrick, have you?
Sadly, I have not.
So there's something we have to do this year.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about it. I know we talked about it some last year.
It's internationally renowned. I mean, it's a big deal. So this is good because it gives more theater space, and I think it's going to be 2 theaters from what I saw on the drawings.
You may be right. And there's a learning space I think they talked about. Yeah. So this is all really cool. It will help bring some more of that art type, what am I looking for? What's the word? Not lifestyle, but
culture.
Yeah, culture. There we go. Thank you. It helped bring some more of that art culture
that
to
thing we
to
don't
the
have
area.
any of.
Yeah, especially people who are wanting to learn about making films and get involved in filmmaking. Like having something like this for them, that's a huge step. I think.
Well, I think this also gives Sidewalk a kind of a permanent home.
Yes.
Like right now, whenever they do screenings throughout the year, it's not just the film festival.
Yeah.
And whenever they have to do those screenings, they're renting somebody else's space. They're going to try and arrange that. So this gives them a place that they can kind of call their home.
And adds another theater to that whole district. I mean, you have the Alabama, you have the Carver Theater, the Red Mountain Theater, and then we'll have this one, which will be 2. And let's not forget the New Lyrics. So, I mean, makes it a true theater district.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I'll have links on our website for the show notes to their Facebook and their official website. But again, that's facebook.com/sidewalkfilm and sidewalkfest.com.
If you didn't see this in the news, which is kind of hard, John Archibald, who's been a columnist for the Birmingham News for, since
1989, I think.
Yeah, 86 or 89. Won a Pulitzer Prize for commentary. It's the 3rd Pulitzer that the Birmingham News has won since its existence, and it's well deserved. It was for probably the commentary on Alabama politics in general, but also the Roy Moore, Doug Jones Senate race. Also with there's been some corruption in the state legislature. He won it. There's a cool video on Twitter, and I think I've retweeted this, that shows him watching their ceremony and them announcing that he won it, which it makes me think that he had an idea that he may win it, but well deserved. And he's gotten a lot of accolades outside of, or a lot of compliments from folks outside of Birmingham on this. Yeah,
this puts him in kind of a rare group. I mean, people who win Pulitzers, of course you have one every year, but it's still a pretty...
That's the most prestigious prize in journalism.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's pretty huge. to have this be the third one for AL.com or the Birmingham News is a pretty big deal, I think, for us. But besides all that, like, I'm a huge fan of John Archibald, have been for a long time. I think his writing has helped motivate a lot of people to, I guess, care more about what we do in this state. The fact that he writes from the perspective of we can do better and we deserve better, I think is huge. I can't say enough nice things about his work and what he's done. So I think this is great that he's getting that recognition.
Have you seen that video that they did? I think it was about a year ago. It was talking about Birmingham and the revitalization of Birmingham, and it was called "Ain't No Magic Here," and it was done by John Archibald was the voice behind it, and it was like, there ain't no magic here. This is hard work and dedication and stuff like that. It was really well done. So.
Did not see that.
I did see that. I think it was in conjunction with the
Stuart Perry, I think. The construction company that's been doing all those historic buildings downtown. So, and I think he wrote that part and everything, and that kind of sums up what he thinks about Birmingham. That it's not magic. This is people working hard and that's loved a city for the longest time that are now seeing the fruits of their labor. So, so we applaud John Archibald here on the podcast.
And you were right. He's been with the Birmingham News since '86 and with AL.com since 2004.
God, I've only been in this world since '85. I'm telling you.
It's a long career.
It is a long career, and he's not finished anytime soon. So, good for him.
All right, now we have one more story that I want to bring up, specifically because I know that Blake has strong opinions and strong words about it. I read the article when it first popped up, and I thought this is going to be perfect, even though I don't personally have a strong opinion about it.
I think we should start doing this on this show about we take one topic and let's argue about it. Why not?
Have a little bit of salt.
Yeah.
I don't know if this will be an argument, more of a rant.
Yeah.
From
It's
Blake.
not really a rant. It's just I have reasons. Okay,
I feel like I should put you on a clock and give you a minute and a half of just pure Blake salt.
You know what grinds my gears?
All right. So from AL.com, apparently Birmingham is vying for the Democratic National Convention again. So to set a little bit of background, and you may have to give me some details here.
Right.
Birmingham tried to get the DNC to come back in
2016. Yeah.
They failed.
Yeah, didn't even get into the finalists.
All right, so, and this was that 2016, it was Birmingham's idea, hey, let's try for this and see what we can do. This time around, apparently, they were reached out to by the head of the DNC.
Yeah, Tom Perez, who's the DNC chair, put Birmingham on a list of folks he would like to see make a bid.
Yeah, so Birmingham was sent a letter, hey, here are the benefits of doing it, here's all the money you might see infused into your economy, here's what we require. So I'm going to stop right there. I think that's probably enough background, and just let you tell us why you think this is a bad idea.
So, first of all, I will say this. I don't think it's a bad idea for Birmingham to put themselves out there for a big convention, because I think it's Birmingham can do something like that. Having said that, these, the Democratic National Convention or the Republican National Convention are really big conventions. I've been to one of each. There are things that we just don't have that they're going to want. Like they want, I think it's 18,000 hotel rooms, or maybe no more than that. They want so many hotel rooms and so many suites within 30 minutes of the arena. We don't have that. I mean, we have. I think we are close to it, but we don't have that.
It's 17,000 to 18,000, and 1,000 luxury suites within 30 minutes of the arena.
Right. We don't have that. We'd be putting people up in Tuscaloosa and Montgomery,
Shelby County.
Yeah. Okay, so we also don't have the arena space. They want an arena that has what do they want in the arena? It's like 20,000.
650,000 square feet of usable space in an arena or convention hall. With an arena seating of at least 18,500, which Legacy holds 17.6.
Yeah, so I mean we're in the ballpark for the arena, but I don't think we have the convention space for them, because they need a convention space for Radio Row and for the TV cameras, and they need convention space for all the pundits to come in and set up, and we just don't have that. But also, let's just talk about some of the things that Birmingham would also need. Like, we need a better transportation system. I went to the DNC in Denver in 2008. They have a light rail that they opened up completely free for everybody. and it took you from one end of the city to the other. I also went to the 2012 one in Tampa, and they had their transportation system going for free, and it was going all over the place. We just don't have that. We don't have one that's big enough to accommodate. And also, this is going to cost us this is going to cost us money to make this bid, and we are It's not like we don't have a chance. I think we do, but it's not a very good chance, and so I think it might be a little bit of waste of money. But also, if you just look at it from a pure political side of it, DNCs and RNCs usually go to cities of some sort of political significance or large metropolitan areas. I think I said this off the air, so if you let's go through 1992 for the DNC. They did 92 was in New York, 96 was in Chicago, I believe. 2000 was in LA, 2004 was in Boston, 2008 was in Denver, and 2012 was in Charlotte. Every one of those was either of political significance, like Charlotte's in North Carolina, which is a swing state, or a large metro area like Boston or New York. And even in New York in 1992, New York was seen kind of as a not a swing state, but was not entirely in the Democrats' column. I mean, Reagan won New York twice, and I believe, and I just think that it's going to be it's a hard sell for a lot of folks, and especially with this political climate, they're going to want to put this thing in Ohio or back in maybe in Pittsburgh, or I didn't see the whole list of folks bidding on it, but it's not going to be in Birmingham.
Yeah, so I think from my perspective, this is Birmingham putting itself out there, like you said.
Good thing. I like it.
It may be good for us to get rejected by a few of these things and to hear why. I know some of the, I know, for instance, when Charlotte was looking to put in an NFL team, the NFL came to them and said, basically, you guys need more restaurants. And so they actually moved Johnson & Wales Culinary School campus from Charleston to Charlotte to help bring in more restaurants in that area. So it may be good for us to put this out there and see why we're not able to do this. I mean, from the political standpoint of what's relevant or what not, I mean, I don't think that may drive their decision ultimately, but in our case, for Birmingham, I think it's good for them to.
Well, I wonder how much the bid costs. We have to invest. There's a bid price. It's like a couple $100,000, which in the scheme of things is not a lot of money, but we're talking about doing some things in Birmingham. We could use $200,000 somewhere else. So.
Well, I know for the 2016 bid that we spent $275,000, and that was on consulting groups. We hired 3 consulting groups at $100,000, $175,000, and $25,000 each.
Yeah, but I mean, we're gonna have to bring committee members into Birmingham, show them around town, show them everything. That costs money. It's a true bid, and not that we shouldn't do that for conventions. I just don't think that this is at this time it's not as likely as if the World Games.
Right. I'm wondering if some of that consulting work they did in the past. I mean, if they just made a bid for this 4 years ago, or
maybe they can kind of redo.
Maybe a lot of that information can be reused.
But I will say, the arena is going to be updated by 2020. Right. That whole area is going to look completely different. Will the stadium be open by 2020?
I think the stadium should be open.
Yeah, the new stadium will be open by 2020. So that that's a good thing. I mean, it's not looking like that area won't look like it does now if they had the convention here. I just don't think it's very likely we would get this. I don't think it's very high percentage that we would get it, and so I think that we should use our energy to try to get something else.
Or use our energy to try and make ourselves more eligible, in 4 years from 2020, 2024.
Yeah.
What I like about this, that the DNC reached out to us, says a lot about how they see us now, how they see Birmingham and Alabama as a whole, and I think that has a lot to do with Doug Jones being elected.
I think you're right.
I think that really changed outside perspectives on who we are and what we stand for. I think it was Keith Ellison, the vice chair.
Yeah,
he said something to the effect of Alabama's in play now, as far as politics in the DNC.
Wow, I disagree with Keith on that, but
I will see. So we've got midterm elections coming up.
Yeah, well, I mean, you may get some Dems win some seats here in Alabama. There's a couple of Democrats that are running for governor that are very viable candidates. You've got a lot more Democrats running for state representative and state senate seats than you have in the past. But Alabama as like a presidential state is what we're talking about being viable. That's nonsense. We're not. I mean, I mean, I'm just telling you. I mean, Donald Trump wants 68% of Alabama. It's not going to drop anytime unless And I say unless something terrible happens, but I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, not to get extremely political.
No.
We're talking about political story, and of course, I think from listening to us, if you've listened to us over the last 40 episodes, you kind of know that we lean a different direction. Me personally, though, I feel like Alabama as a whole is not going to switch to a blue state. Like, that's not going to happen anytime soon, I don't believe. But why not? Not for 2020, of course. I agree with you on that, and I agree with Patrick to say let's bid for it and see why we're not going to get it. Let's get a good list so that we can work on things. But for 2024, if the DNC convention was held here, maybe that would even help swing more people to vote Democrat. Maybe
Possible.
Yeah.
But I think just that it's going to continue. I mean, like you said, getting our name out there, the fact that we were asked to be on this list or to put in a bid, I think says a lot about the city itself and where it's going.
Yeah.
And I think it gives us, experience for making other bids. So for large conferences, these bids I'm sure are very similar. You have a convention coming in and they ask for a bid, then we can, like I said, we've already put in this work to produce this bid for the DNC. It's I think a lot of that's probably reusable for other conventions. So it gives us a good reason to put this material together to go put our name out there for other things.
And I feel the same way about that as I do things like the Bring A to Z campaign, like trying to get Amazon to come here. The more we attempt to do things like that, and the more we get answers about why it's not happening, the more we have to work on. And the more of those things that we work on, then the better we look in future campaigns.
Isn't Apple trying to bring something, do like a new headquarters?
They
possibly.
They mentioned trying to build a new headquarters, but I don't think there's any kind of list or bid or anything like that out yet. I think that's pretty far off.
Got a big building downtown, Apple.
They might have already bought that building. You never know.
You never know. Tim Cook was here.
Is this a Red Mountain exclusive or something? Maybe when the DNC sees that we have horse carriages coming downtown, they'll change their minds and come. So we'll see how that goes. Sure. Yeah.
All right. Any other stories for this week?
That's it, man.
Patrick?
I'm good.
Good. Yeah. All right. So this is going to be a longer episode. Be prepared. We are going to cut to the break here. Hear from our sponsors over at Beecham Woodworks, and then we're going to come back with our episode, our interview with Blue Yonder. That interview is about 30 minutes long or so, but please stick with it. It's a great interview.
And there's a song at the end.
Exclusively recorded for us. And, of course, they're going to be at the Nick on April 29th. You can find more information and tickets at thenickrocks.com, and we will have links to that information on our show notes.
So stay tuned for Blue Yonder. Beecham Woodworks is a locally owned and operated wood shop in Birmingham, Alabama, specializing in custom furniture and small home goods. Chris and Kanan Beecham create a wide variety of unique pieces of all sizes, ranging from cutting boards to farmhouse tables. Using wood sourced from Alabama sawmills, Beecham Woodworks creates affordable quality pieces that will be a one-of-a-kind fixture for your home. So support your local woodworker and visit redmountainexpress.com/woodworks or check them out on their Facebook and Instagram accounts. Beecham Woodworks, turning your house into a home. Welcome back to the Red Mountain Express. We are actually at Rotary Trail right now, sitting here with a few members of the band Blue Yonder. They're going to be playing at the Nick coming up on April 29th. The doors open at 9 o'clock and the show starts at 10. But with us we have Johnny Veras, Joseph Johnson, and Russell. Is it Russell or Thomas? Russell.
It's Russell Thomas Bush.
Yes, you have two names on there. So, this is the South. So, thank y'all for being here. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Y'all were in Huntsville last night?
We were. Sidetracks Music Hall.
And then y'all are here today. Thank y'all so much. It was like 3 a.m. getting in, right? So
something like that.
Yeah, so there you go. Well, first of all, kind of tell us a little bit about yourselves and how the band Blue Yonder was formed.
Okay, so I guess we're all sort of from spread out parts of Alabama, but Montgomery is the city that brought us together. Joseph and I grew up there, and Beth as well. And We just got our 8th anniversary on LinkedIn this week.
It's not official till it's on LinkedIn.
That Beth and I started writing for this project, and it's been about 2.5 years that we started putting the band together. And Joseph and I, we've known each other our whole lives, and he's written some great tunes before we started writing for this, and so he came in first, and then we brought in our good buddy Russell here, and also Sam Patinos, who's a Birmingham native.
We call him the man just because
he is the man. Yeah.
So like every time, like he's the man.
So I'm always really interested in the story behind like names, and I realize the names of bands don't always have a good story. Sometimes they're just a name. Blue Yonder, where did that come from?
Well, that's kind of interesting. So Montgomery's got the big military base at Maxwell Gunner Air Force Base, and I used to work for a company down there that did some development. They did the Alley Bar and Aviator Bar, and we had just finished designing and building an Aviator Bar, and we were really working to reconnect with the culture, of the base, because it's kind of like not in what has historically been the greatest part of town, and a lot of folks move out to the suburbs when they come in because there's not really great housing close to the base. So the city was trying to bring them in, right? And we started rehearsing some old tunes like I can't remember who wrote that. So, like the Ink Spots, I don't want to set the world on fire. Yeah, it's a great song. For like a couple special occasions, and my wife and I just, Beth, we just kind of, she dressed up like Amelia Earhart one night, and I dressed up like an Army Air Corps captain, and we called ourselves Blue Yonder without much thought to it, to be completely honest. But it has more meaning to it now, just in the sense that where we're coming from with our project and our writing, there's a story behind it, and we have a lot of fun, like looking at real historical events and sort of interweaving our own sort of, I guess, historical fiction. Yeah, but it's a hybrid of our actual lives with historical events, and maybe a little bit of science fiction in between. And so Blue Yonder for us is kind of just an encompassing term for that.
So when did it become from a project to now? I mean, you're a band that actually travels and does gigs. So you put out an EP already. You're kind of working on some new music right now. When did it kind of evolve to being the band Blue Yonder?
I guess it had to be when we got involved with a guy named Robert Shemp. He's an excellent sound engineer who's down in Montgomery. And in fact, like with what we were just telling you about before we started, Technical Earth down in Montgomery is a new studio built to Bill Putnam's specifications. Robert worked out in the Bay Area for a while before moving back to the Southeast to raise a family, and I actually got connected with him to help him find a space to do a studio several years ago. And then that was kind of, we started putting the full band together, thinking like, we just need to rehearse so we can bring this music, do it justice when we record it, without much expectation to really play out or travel with it. And the moment that we started working with Robert was when we had to step our game up and really focus on honing in our craft. So I don't remember when that was. It's about 1.5 2 years ago.
And for people who haven't listened to your EP or listened to any of your music, how would you describe your music style? Like if you had to put a label on it.
Man, labels.
And I would say, just to kind of piggyback real quick, that y'all's music's very versatile. If you listen to Long Time Gone, or Long Time Coming, it's more folk. But then if you listen to this next song on the EP, OLIVIA, it's completely different. And was that done on purpose, or is that just y'all's style? It's just whatever comes to you?
Well, you want to answer that, Joseph?
That's pretty good. Yeah, I'll take that one. Hey, what's up, guys? So, like, kind of our thing is like we don't really like we all like a lot of different genres of music, and we've all spent time playing, in different kinds of bands and playing different kinds of music. But kind of the idea being that like the way we sound isn't really defined by a genre. It's more just like because we just sort of do whatever we want, and like whatever is coming naturally to us at that point, that sort of, at least over the last like year or two, has started to sort of meld into an actual sound, which is like just that you don't know what it's going to be. Like it might be kind of more low key and like textural at one moment, and then it might go into something that's almost like, country or bluegrass, but then it might, dive back over towards Pink Floyd or something. Like it's just kind of free. I think that's the most fun thing about it.
So follow up for that then, how does your music writing process look when y'all come together to do a new song?
Joseph and I both have a catalog that goes back pretty far. Some stuff that we wrote before we started this project that we're still pulling from, and then, sometimes we get together and write, but it's kind of all over the board. Like we might bring something to the group. A lot of the stuff we play earlier on is stuff that Beth and I wrote together, previous to the full band starting. And then when Joseph came into the fold, we brought in some of his songs that were previous, but then we started writing songs together, the three of us. And then, now having been able to get comfortable playing together with everybody, a lot of the new songs that we have are things that we couldn't write without everybody in the room, especially on the arrangement side, like having the freedom to leave space with guitar and let that be filled with percussion and rhythm is really, it's completely different. It's like writing a song on the guitar versus writing on the piano is you get
two different sounds probably. Yeah.
And that may be part of, to kind of tack on what Joseph said about our sound. Like we all have a pretty diverse background, but we're not trying like to have a method or like a focus for what we do. So each time it's different, and the focus kind of just being that whatever it is, like we want it to be good, and we want it to be something that's sort of true to what we like. We want it to connect with us, because otherwise, like if we don't connect with it, then how is it gonna translate over? Yeah, and like when you hear the first EP, it does sound more roots, folky kind of, Americana, acoustified feel.
But it does. But then I think there are some songs like Nocturna that is nowhere near that, and it's good, and it flows very well. And I think you don't hear that a lot on a lot of albums or EPs or any type of collection of music. You kind of just hear a band, and this is what they play, and it's over and over again, and it's still good. But y'all are more versatile than anything I've heard in a while, and I didn't know if it came out that way or was purposeful or.
Yeah, maybe we have attention deficit disorder.
There is nothing wrong with that.
I get bored quick,
yeah.
And
there was a squirrel over your shoulder about 5 minutes ago that I've been paying attention to. So.
And like part of our story that we referenced is that like we intentionally sort of curated the more Americana folky thing for that first EP, both like. Because that was in our timeline, and like where we wanted to be with the music we were sharing, but also like because some of the stuff we had written like took longer to flesh out, and it's like more complicated to execute. So we're like building up to that moment. You had something you want to say?
I was going to say, really, like to piggyback off Joseph as well. Even though we all listen to a lot of different kinds of music, we're also grew up as musicians. Beth and I, we played together in college. She played French horn. She's probably bringing that into the fold at some point, but she has a little more classical background, as so do I. I've played bass for a long time, played in school bands growing up, played in a symphony on double bass. So it's just the musicianship really kind of. It allows us to be a little more creative than being pigeonholed into we're going to sound Americana. I think Nocturna is a good example because for me, that one, it doesn't really sit in any kind of category. It is a very special thing in and of itself.
Is Americana what y'all kind of maybe grew up listening to, or was it something that influenced you, or is it just kind of something that kind of fit with what y'all were playing?
Man,
or what's on your iPod
we were all
now?
born
What
in,
do you listen to now?
You were born in 84, 85, 84 and 85,
So
pretty
85
much.
too, so
So, I mean, we grew up in the 80s and in the 90s.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, you know, my first tape was Abbey Road. My second tape was The Wall.
The first CD I bought.
Yeah. But then, like, you know, I listened to, you know, I remember when Sublime came out. That was the first CD I bought. And
My first tape was Nirvana Unplugged in New York, man. That was like
that's
my first.
that's a
cassette
great
tape.
album.
I mean, I think we had moments, like everybody, where you go through phases as you sort of grow up and mature. And
Some bad ones in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
some we're less proud of than others. But
Can't believe I had this Ace of Base.
you know, now I think we listen with an ear that hears like a well-crafted song, and you know, strong technical ability and things like that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be. Man, that guy was cruising, dude, riding by, no hands.
He had
on
some
his
music going on
bike.
his bike too.
Yeah.
While he's riding down the street.
He just stared at us when I wish you guys could see it. I forgot what we were talking
We were
about.
talking about music.
There's that ADD coming
Yeah.
out.
Well, I think we all have phases. Like I know that when I was in high school or college, I went into a phase where I listened to nothing but the band and the Allman Brothers for a good,
Nice.
solid 2 years, and then like even took a trip to see Levon Helm at the Ryman Auditorium, which
Wow.
was the best concert I've been to in my life. But then like I'll get into like where I listen to old country, like really old country. So I think you're right. We all go through phases, but I didn't know if Americana had something that stuck with y'all, and that's why that's why the first album was kind of shaped by that.
Well, so playing acoustic, I kind of, when we were not together as a band and I was writing and Beth and I were, starting to take that out and share it, I got this, actually I got it from Trussville off Craigslist. It's a 1959 Giannini. It's just like was nothing special when it came out new, sort of working man's classical guitar, and I started writing on that, and I learned a finger style, kind of, that parlor kind of like old American music, and like so some of our earlier stuff, both on and not cut yet, came out of that, and especially like if I play acoustic guitar, it's probably going to have a little bit more of that vibe to it,
Right.
And I think that was probably what started it, but now it's like it's just what ties everything together. Like, I can't remember the guy's name, but this dude hit me up maybe 6 months ago. He's a teacher overseas, like a ESL kind of thing, and he was like, man, I don't know if I'll be able to quote him directly because I don't know what your standards are, but your music is just as American as heck. And that'll be the second to last time I said heck today. That there being the last. But it's like, we're here, like it's
Sounds like a
sort
name
of
of an album, American as Heck by Blue Yonder.
we'll put that in the catalog. We'll see. It's like we just take life and put it in to every our art, and we're all American, and we love, like you're saying, we love old country just as much as we love classic rock, R&B, soul. Like, good music is good music, and America, United States, has produced a lot of the best modern music in history. So we don't have to try to be something. Like, we don't want to be, what genre is current right now. But like, for me, it's easy to think of like grunge rock because of where it was. Like, that was the thing, and I used to try to sing like Billy Joe. I want to do an impersonation right now.
Go right ahead. We don't
I'm
care.
having trouble trying to sleep. Getting cheap and run it out.
That was sorry, Billy. That was a little bit of hyperbole for the radio.
Well, I will say that the voice you have now is much better than that. So, I think you've improved.
You got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. So we've talked about what you've done on the last EP. So where are y'all going now? I think you're in the studio right now.
We are. Yeah.
What's the music looking like coming up? Not to give anything
I said
away.
I wouldn't say it a third time, but American as heck. It's still going to be, if you're looking to put nomenclature to like a style or anything like that, and it's going to be kind of all over the board. But this time coming in, we are writing with like a more contiguous focus. Like there's movements and
There's themes kind of that reoccur. It's definitely some musical themes and lyrical themes that go from song to song.
Yeah, there's kind of Easter eggs in there. There's some Easter eggs in there, like over the course of these tunes we've been working on. Like you might hear something kind of pop back up from a song that that's already over. Like it might resurface. Like we got some good teasers on there. I think it's gonna be a fun kind of interactive listening experience.
yeah, and we're doing something which is probably not super different anymore, but is different than the traditional releases in that we're going to release sort of like couplets, like singles A and B sides, as like each segments of a story. And we're doing that for multiple reasons, but like when you bring them all back together, it'll almost be like each one of those was a chapter in a book or something like that. And, at the end of it all, when they're all out, we'll compile them into a release as more of an album in the traditional sense.
So you guys have been invited to do the Least of All Sound Records. Tell our listeners what that's about.
At the risk of sounding not cool, we submitted on Reverb Nation to this thing. They have, that band profile has like opportunities all the time. We don't really expect to necessarily get selected that often, but we got hooked up with Aaron Zimmer and Least of All, and basically what he's got is a studio up there where he tracks to vinyl live. So each cut in the studio is like sent directly through to a lathe that cuts the first record. And, like in the original process, that would happen, and then they would take that as the mold and then press reproduction to do distribution. So this is a really special thing because we're going to go up there basically, and, we're selling pre-order cuts where, you say buy a song, it's $25. We go up there, we cut it for you. You're the only person that has that record.
Cool.
No one keeps the masters. There's no masters to keep because it just all goes directly analog. And so you get a unique piece of music, from this piece of history with us. And when we heard about the opportunity, we were like, we got to do that. Kind of built a tour around it, but then had to move some things around because I got a pretty cool offer in my other job stuff. And so we're going to go up there in May now. We would have been up there this Wednesday this week, and the Nick show coming up was like our return show coming back from our little East Coast run.
That's a really cool idea. I'd never heard of that before, but that is really unique to be able to own something like that.
Yeah,
So
you buy one, we'll give you a shout out if you want us to, or you can be like, you got some anger messages you want to send somebody. We'll put something in there for you. Like we don't really carry a message of hate, but we'll be like, hey, this guy's pissed at you.
You'll carry it
here's a
for us.
record.
And you can go your electricblueyonder.com to where you can order those if somebody wants to do that.
Yeah. It's set up on the link there. You can go directly to Least of All. It's so hard to explain how to spell Least of All, but it's LEESTA space VALL. Like,
Yeah, I think I had to ask you before we started how to say it because I was
yeah.
like, and then I felt like a dummy when you actually said it. I was like, oh, well, that makes sense.
It took me a little while, I'll be honest.
I've been looking at this stuff for a week now. So did it take you a week?
You
I'm
know,
a dumbass.
It's that Montgomery education.
It's the Montgomery education. There it is. Well, thank y'all for joining us. You're going to play something for us. Is that right?
Well, wait, I have one question.
Oh, you have one question? Okay, go ahead.
If people are interested in finding your music, which I hope they are, it's really good. Where can they find it at?
well, we're on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, all the regular digital distributions. You can buy like the last 4 of our first run of our EP at the Nick on Sunday, and Facebook, and of course electricblueyonder.com.
And of course, we'll have a link to that on our show notes.
Yeah. So what are y'all gonna play for us today?
Well, let's see. Since we don't have we'll do False Prophets, which I think I shared you the progress link of that.
It's excellent. I was really, really impressed by it. Well, thank y'all for being on this. We're going to let y'all play this and kind of close it out. We'll be all on the end of the show. You can find them, like we said, online at electricblueyonder.com. You can find their music on iTunes, Amazon Music, and Spotify. And like we said, they're going to be at the Nick on April 29th. The doors open at 9. The show's at 10. And you can get tickets to that on their website as well. So
that's thenickrocks.com.
There you go. That is. So
And every man trembles at the sight of his God. Whether righteous or wicked or filthy with fraud, and who's left to judge now? All the old gods are dead, except the ones in your wallet and the ones left inside of your head. All your days and all of your lonely nights, don't think twice when it comes to holy sacrifice, 'cause you want it to feel something real. Yeah, you want it to feel so real. It's all fanned out before you. Every suit represents. At the end of the hand, it's just dollars and cents. You say everything's fine, and it's all in your mind. Lives wasted searching between the lines, with echoes of meaning lost with the passage of time. All your days and your lonely nights. Don't think twice when it comes to human sacrifice, 'cause you want it to feel something real. Yeah, you want it to feel so You can drag me to the big house, oh, with misfortune fraud. They'll say I am guilty, guilty I am not.